Do-do-do-do. Oh, yeah. All right. Anyone on here yet? Yet? All right. All right. Georgia in the House election night. I did vote. I'm making a mess of my office, man. Hey, making a mess of my office. Nah, we're not going to win. I'm convinced we're not going to win. And when I say we, the Republicans, I mean, I'm convinced. At some point, you got to grab your kahunas and make a stand for something, man. And if you're just running to not have a, if you just run out the clock, I mean, the media is always against the Republicans. You've got to be on the attack. And I don't understand why the Republicans never understood this. It's nuts. But I got good news I'm going to share with you. So don't worry about it. I got good news. So I want to see what, it's funny because I live in Georgia, and I was listening to my man Richard Barris, who I think is live right now as well. Richard Barris, is that his name? He got banned from Twitter for challenging the veracity of the election before. And I was listening to him, and he's like, look, the Republicans, as always, oh, yeah. What? Because Puffensbarger, man. I mean, Jill, James. But I got good news I want to share with you. Trust me, hang in there. I'm going to share with you guys some good news. Anyway, I was listening to Richard Barris, the People's Pundit. He was like, and I completely agree with this. He goes, basically they didn't adopt Trump either. I mean, they didn't. And what they need, and which is crazy to me. So basically, you have the majority of voters in Georgia felt like the election before wasn't fair. And that, I mean, why would you not say, if I'm going to win, I'm going to lead an effort to make sure this never happens again? They never did. It was this typical liberal light. I will protect. Well, it's. Well, I don't understand, but I mean, yeah, seems fishy. Yeah, I think they're going to lose both seats. Yeah, I do. We'll see. I got good news though. Hang in there with me. I got some good news I'm going to share with you because it's we'll go into this for just a second. Anyway, it's just, but why not run on what the stuff that that not just Republicans that appeal. So Purdue ran on we're going to protect pre-existing conditions. I like that. That's great, but that doesn't. Why not? I mean, Loeffler did the same thing, and I just sitting there thinking, why not go after what people? The number one issue is a vote. Well, I don't get it. Why can't you go after the vote and say, here's the vote. The vote is illegitimate. We're going to challenge this and make sure this never happens again. That is like like my man Richard Barris at People's Pundit said, he goes, why don't the Republicans just hire Democrats, give millions of dollars to Democrats? Because the Democrats are actually probably better to run a Republican campaign than Republicans are. I'm sitting there, I'm watching their ads. They're saying, okay, Warnock's a con. We all know the guy's a con. You get that. Well, Ossoff has been around for a long time in terms of he's a rich boy. What? I don't understand why the Republicans can't say we are going to make sure that this never happens again. Everybody will be on board with that. Now, the vast majority of Republicans who are pissed at the Republican Party for not taking Trump will say yes, because a lot of Republicans are pissed at Kemp and Puffenbarger. I know that's not his name. I call him Puffy the Puffenbarger. Why wouldn't they say we are, even if you're that way, you don't have to hug Trump, there are people who can't stand the guy. I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. But I always say, in that way, you can say this will diffuse any freaking clown Stacey Abrams. Like, the vote is rigged. Why not use the obvious? We're going to protect pre-existing conditions. No SHIT, Sherlock. That wasn't about this. Jeez. All right, so we got 59 people. I went into the attic, and I hope you all can see this. And I want to share with you a blast from the past. This is of the Washington Post. 1992, November 4th. Clinton elected 42nd president in sweeping victory over Bush. Clinton elected 42nd president in sweeping victory over Bush. Woo! smells like old paper. Suburban voters move left, join DC in backing activist progressive agenda. Women gain 4. There's the year of the women. I'll never forget Patty Murray, a mom in tennis shoes from Washington. Women gain 4 more seats in the Senate. I want to share with you something else, though. We have right here. Hold on a second. We have right here. Alphonse D'Amato and New York State Attorney General Robert Abrams were locked in a close race after one of the most vitriolic primary and general elections campaigns for Senate. So D'Amato won, but he got beat by Schumer. Did he lose in 92? D'Amato, no, but he got beat by Schumer in 98. Did Schumer beat Hillary? I can't remember, but we got who's the other? We got Schumer, and then who's the other one in New York? What's his name? Gillibrand. I can't remember, but I remember Schumer came up. Did he win? I can't remember, but Schumer used to be a congressman, putz. And he's a putz as a senator. But we had let's see here. We had right here a guy named Christopher Bond, was a Missouri Republican who won. All right, but that was we had John Danforth, Republican, Missouri. Who we got now? We got Hawley, and we got the other guy. I'm not a big fan of, Roy Blount, but he's gone soon. I mean, he's just clown. But we got Hawley in there now. The Republicans had nothing in Arkansas. We got Tom Cotton now. We had let's see, Carol Moseley Braun. You might not remember her. I do. She was the first Black woman ever elected. She was joined by Patty Murray, a mom in tennis shoes, who everyone loved because she's just so cute as a mom in tennis shoes with her bob cut, and she's a clown, man. And Feinstein and Boxer both won in 92. All right. In the House, a record number of women were nominated by the major parties. Final figures, it was clear, though, the Democrats will retain their substantial majorities in both houses, helped in many cases by Bill Clinton's coattails in winning the presidency. It's also clear that the 103rd Congress will be markedly different in composition than the 102, replaced by major infusion of minorities and self-described outsider women. All right. So the issue here, in 1992, all right, I was 22 years old. I just got out of the Army that year. And I remember that's like my first, I was very active. Well, I was. My parents were very activist for the left in my previous life. But I remember I was sitting there and I went down to the Republicans, me and some chick I was dating, and we went to the convention and the Election Watch party in Richmond. It was depressing, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's like, damn. Because you don't like to lose. Losing sucks. And when you lose and the other side wins, the other side rubs it in, it pisses you off, man. Yeah, Roy Blunt, he's gone. He's a clown. I mean, that guy's I don't watch hardly any TV, James. I did not see DeSantis. I love DeSantis. Let me just put it up front. I'm a huge DeSantis fan. He's my inside guy so far. But anyway, the point is that we had results at a glance. What do we have here? 62% of Maryland voted for abortion rights. So that hasn't changed. It's probably more than that now. Oh, right here. This is what I want to say. Senate party control. The Democrats had 58. The Republicans had 35 with 6 incomplete. The Democrats had 58. The Republicans 35. I think the Democrats had like 270, 280 in the House, something like that, some huge number. Leslie Byrne I was in Jim Moran's district, the 8th of Virginia. Leslie Byrne in the 11th district up in Fairfax, she won. She was a clown. Steny Hoyer. I remember Albert Wynn. He was corrupt as the day is long. The issue here, though, of course, also too, three slain in D.C. right there, 3 slain in the district near Howard University. So they were black, but no one cared. No one cares about Black Lives Matter as long as it's not a white cop who kills them. That's the only time people care. Anyway, there was huge. The left, they thought they had it all. I'm just telling you right now. And they didn't. 94 came, and 94 was the start of the movement. It started, frankly, a little bit with Reagan. I mean, Reagan took out George H.W. Bush, who was an insider D.C. Look, George H.W. Bush is not a Texan, by the way. He's Connecticut. He's a Connecticut Yankee. I mean, he could not be more of a DC waspish Yankee than George H.W. Bush. It just stopped his idea that he's a Texan. He wasn't. George W., yes, but George H.W., no. And don't forget, just because George W. is from Texas, he still had all that Northeastern blood. In the video I did earlier today, I showed you Northeast only has 55 million people. It's the least populated of all the regions of the United States by far. I mean, so being from the Northeast doesn't mean anything anymore. It used to be. But anyway, I'll never forget that. It was depressing, man. You're sitting there thinking, what the hell happened? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. It's crazy. But then you know what happened? Not just 2 years later, next year, George Allen, Chrissy Todd Whitman, which turned out to be a nothing burger, but George Allen was good. I like George. I was a big George Allen fan. That's the first time I ever heard of YouTube when George Allen said macaca. And everyone said, you're saying some racist name about Indians. He's like, I'd never even heard that term, but that's where they recorded him on YouTube calling some kid a macaca, whatever the hell that was. I still don't even know what that is. And everyone's all, oh my goodness, George Allen said racist stuff. But he lost to Jim Webb. And Jim Webb was the old school Democrat, conservative Democrat. And George Allen made some mistakes. And the Republican Party is not well liked at that point because of the Iraq War. And frankly, the Iraq War did to George W. Bush what the first Iraq War did to George H.W. Bush. I mean, they had huge popularity, and then it just dwindled, man. George H.W. Bush was at 91% in polls in 1991 during the Iraq War. And then, he couldn't freaking – and it just was squandered. Because all that's fake. It's a rally around the flags. Anyway, so what happened was Clinton won. You're like, damn, he was a progressive guy. I'll never forget when I was walking to college. I was in college at this point, and there's some snot-nosed rich kid. I always think they're rich kids if they're white and liberal, and I just think they're rich kids. It's hard to imagine as many white poor kids unless they're union workers. Other than that, I mean, white liberals, they all got to be rich unless they're union members. Men, and I'm not saying teachers' unions. I'm saying real union guys, blue-collar guys. But other than that, if you're a white liberal, you're rich. That's the way I look at it. Anyway, I'll never forget this white tall kid too, and he walked by and he had a shirt that had Bill Clinton playing the saxophone with shades, and it said, "A cure for what ails you." No, something like a cure for the blues. That's what it was, a cure for the blues. And I said, "Damn!" And I just was crazy. I'll never forget that. For some reason, that stuck in my head, and I don't know why, but yeah, we're not winning in Georgia, man. It's not happening. We have no one on the ground that has any. I frankly, they don't have anyone. Well, you can't look at that right there. You got to look at where the votes are coming in from. Q. So at this stage, the numbers in of itself don't mean anything. It depends where they're coming from. But at the end of the day, I volunteered to be a poll watcher. I never heard anything. I volunteered to be. I sent my email. My wife and I both sent to the Fulton County Republican Party. And didn't hear a thing. Yeah, the GOP shot themselves with Trump supporters. Yep. And the facts are we had people. We know for a fact that people voted twice in the primary and in the general, and nothing happened to these people. And all they had to do was for Perdue, and Loeffler, they should have said, we want to make sure what happened last time never happens again. And I don't know why they didn't do it. So let's look again. I just wanted to bring this to your mind. Clinton elected 42nd president, a sweeping victory over Bush. Then we had the first black guy who won the presidency in 2008. Clinton was a Southern white guy who actually ran with Confederate flags on some of his stickers. You know what I'm saying? He had, Confederate flags which said Al Gore for the Southerners for Al Gore or Clinton Gore. So you could pretend Clinton was a closet, conservative in some regard. And don't forget, when he governed Arkansas, he killed that one guy, the guy who has special needs, and Clinton fried him. Hillary allowed a girl who was claiming rape to be the whole thing. They're just evil people, but they weren't. At the end of the day, we didn't expect them to be. We didn't expect them to be far lefties, but it wasn't them. It was the Stephanophoulos of the world. It was a freaking Paul. What's that guy's name? Paul. It was Paul something. He was a big lib. But then the Hillary had some Blood Thomason or something like that. Linda Blood Tomlinson. Anyway, they had some real left-wing friends in Hollywood and New York, because Hillary was, don't forget, she was originally from Illinois. It's depressing. I just want to keep pointing this to you. Right there. Then come 2008, Obama wins. They had, when Arlen Specter turned, they had a veto-proof majority in the Senate. Veto-proof majority. I can't remember how many House seats they had. I mean, it was insane. Let's take a look. How many House seats? I can't remember. Let's find out. And we thought we were doomed. How many House seats did Dems have in 1992? All right, so let's see. Paul Manafort, man. Yeah, well, but see, this is where we gotta get rid of the Roy Blunts of the world. We just, these guys got to go, man. I mean, because they're not in the fight; they're in the money. They want the money, not the fight. And it's a new era for the Republican Party. All right, so the Republicans had the Democrats had 267 House seats going in. All right, so they only had 258. So they had 258 to 176 in 1992. They actually lost 9 in 1992. All right, so they lost 9 in 1992. You know what happened for 2004, right? So the Democrats had 258 House seats in 1992. In 1990, they had 267, so they lost 9. What happened in 1994? All right. And 1994, the Republicans picked up 54 House seats. 54 House seats the Republicans picked up. Interesting. All right. So then what happened in 2000? And you can see what happens here. There's a trend that starts a couple of years before. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. All right. So in 2000, the Republicans only had 223 House seats. So that's their majority was dwindling fast in 2000. And everyone thought for sure in 2002 the Republicans would go the way that Republicans would get swamped. But they didn't. They actually picked up, they lost 2 more House seats. So they were down to, they only had a 5-seat majority essentially in the House, a 5-seat voting majority in the House. So anyway, what happened was you could start to see the writing on the wall, all right, from basically 98 to 2000, 2002. And in 2002, it was still that the Republicans only lost 2 House seats was amazing. Part was because 9/11. The rally around the flag was still out there because of 9/11. Anyway, let's keep going. Then they had that pervert Dennis Hastert. And then 2002 comes along. They picked up a couple more seats. 2004, this is the election that Bush just barely won. They picked up a couple more. All right. So 2006 comes along, though. Watch this. So it's still a pretty close majority. It's not, 2006 comes along and the Democrats win 31 seats. 31 seats in 2006. They take majority. You're like, oh, man. 2000. So now the Democrats have 233 seats. The Republicans have 202. 2008. The Democrats have 257. The Republicans have 178. 2008. The Senate, after Specter switched, 60 to 40 in the Senate. 60 to 40 in the Senate. With Obama, a far left guy. The media just loving this guy. And yet here you are to talk about it. Here you are to talk about it. So in this year, the Republicans picked up, how many House seats did we pick up? Now we had Clown. Let's see, that's the problem. That we have John Boehner. John Boehner was just, I don't know what happened to that guy. They all they're in DC for too long. I'm not that big of a fan of Kevin McCarthy either, I'll tell you. Hold on a second. Then in 2000 and, hold on just a second. Get off the ledge, my friends. Get off the ledge. All right. So 2016, the Democrats pick up 6 House seats. All right. They're still in the minority. 2018, they pick up 41 House seats, and they take the majority. 2018. All right. But they only have 235 seats. Not a huge majority, but a majority nonetheless. 2020, the Republicans pick up 15 seats. 15. That it's like stocks, man. There's a momentum and trend thing here, and other than some kind of crazy war picking up, the trends in the favor of the Republicans, especially in a end of the decade thing where the Republicans control state houses, and that's when they can redistrict. Now, I don't like it, but them's the rules, man. And they redistrict. Now, the problem that we have is I don't think a lot of Republicans, myself, are convinced that the vote is kosher. I just don't. And if it's not a kosher vote, that's why Kelly Loeffler and Perdue should have been running. They should have been running on. We're going to make this. That's the one thing. We're going to fix the vote. We'll do nothing until I don't know. I just don't get why they did it. I got 4 or 5 pieces again in the mail today. The same. It's just Republicans as a business, man. Yeah, same. That's right on, Jill. I mean, the same thing. If they were able to get away with it in November, why would they change? Why would you change your victory strategy in January? Knowing that you have a neutered Secretary of State who actually is worse than neutered, who's actually actively working for you because he wants to prove that there was no irregularities, if you know what I'm saying. Puffensbarger he's in CYA mode. It's crazy. Exactly. The Democrats are emboldened. But I tell you, man, Democrats are emboldened. Yeah, right on, Eric. I put a thing on politics, and Eric says you should focus on your finance. You should stay focused on financial stuff. I'm joking on you, man. The Democrats are emboldened, which means the Republicans have to fight back. You see what I'm saying? They can't fight. They can't be under the cover of darkness like Stacey Abrams. I don't get why. I don't understand why Puffenbarger was willing to be led by the nose. I don't know. I frankly, Jill, I think he felt he could meet them halfway. But that's the thing, Republicans, they never meet halfway. I don't get why Republicans get in office if they're not ready to be confrontational. Now, we don't need a burst pipe this time, Stuart, because they got all the votes they needed already in advance. I mean, Abrams already said they got 700,000 mail-in ballots. But I got to tell you, an emboldened Democratic Party is I tell you, man, I kind of think that's what we need because they're going to be crazy. Now, what's going to happen is when they get emboldened, the Republicans we know the Republicans have no spine. We know that. They've always been like that. But we're getting more and more Republicans with spine. And the reason is because more and more Republicans say these guys are nuts. And if you look, I don't trust Lindsey Graham as far as I can kick him, but he saw what they did to Kavanaugh. He saw what they did to Kavanaugh. And suddenly he started getting some spine. Now, I don't know if that's going to stay. I don't know. We shall see. But I tell you, man, an emboldened Democratic Party is acting nuts. It's the 50-50 split Senate, man. 50-50. It's not 60-40. The Republicans got 212. A freaking clown Pelosi's got 222. That's it. They can give away 5 seats. That's it, man. That's it. Republicans have majority in redistricting. You see what I'm saying? I tell you, I hope the Perdue and Loeffler pull it out. I just don't think they're gonna. I thought initially they would because I thought the fair and free election from November would be so obvious that people would be all eyes on Georgia, and even Puffensbarger was going to say we can't have that happen again. But he got too wanting. He wants to cover his butt, so he's like, I've got to prove that Trump will be wrong. That's all there is to it. Yeah, I think that's right, Jill. That Graham only had spine with ACB for his own election, but be it as it may, he did show it, and we got ACB through. Let's see what's up in 2022. The Senate, remember, the House, like all bills originate the spending originates through the House. So the House is important. Don't get me wrong. The Senate's where the judges get, and I'm all that not convinced that the Senate is not more important than the House anymore. So that used to be the chairman. I don't even know who the chairman of the House Ways and Means is anymore. That used to be the most important role in all of Congress because that was a person with a checkbook. I don't know who that is. Yeah, I know. Is Ruby still working that election? I know that's the thing too. That's Tom. I got you, man. Is Ruby still in there? I don't guess they fired a Republican poll watcher because she went on TV saying this is nuts. Is Ruby still there? How the hell is she still there? How's no one going to jail? That's my thing. At least the Supreme Court is solid. All right, so let's see who's up in the Senate in 2022. Senate, seats up in 2022. So again, I'm looking at DuckDuckGo. So remember, going Ruby. Are you my butcher in Iowa? So remember, the 74 million who voted for Trump aren't going away. That is true. Don't forget, we have a legislative majority in trifecta to redistrict 23 states. And many of those states are going to get an extra congressional seat. Whereas where the Democrats have by trifecta, they're losing states, if that makes sense. So, for instance, Texas is going to gain 3 seats, 4-2. And I think we got the trifecta in Florida as well. Thus, what does that mean? Well, it simply means that Republicans, if they're smart, and again, that's a bridge too far, but they're not. This is an easy one. You pit 2 Democrats against themselves. I'm telling you, this is gerrymandering 101. You have you gain a couple of seats, or you lose a seat, whatever it is, and you're in control of the legislature of that state. Pennsylvania, we'll just use that for example, but they don't control the governor. But just for simplicity, let's just say they got 2 Democrat senators, but they got New Hampshire, perfect example. As a trifecta, they own the House, they own the Senate, and they own the governorship. The 2 Congress people, I think, are both Democrats. I know the senators are in New Hampshire. So what they do is they say, okay, let's just say we gained a seat. Well, now we're going to put the Democrats into 1 district and make the other 2 districts Republican. That is gerrymandering 101. So now the Democrats got to campaign against each other. So one's going to lose, which is great. And we'll give you 1, but we're going to take 2. That's how you gerrymander. So does that make sense? So again, you have 2 Democrats, but you're getting an extra seat. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this 1 district heavy Democrat. And then the other 2 districts will be 55-45 Republican. Now the problem, that's why you get insane people like freaking what's Hank Johnson down here who thinks Guam could tip over if they put the Navy bases on there. That's where Cynthia McKinney used to be, by the way. The filibuster is basically gone now. It's done. I mean, Harry Reid did it. I do. I live in a blue. No, it's not blue. We still have a trifecta here, Eric. That's what's crazy, man. We have a trifecta. We own both sets of House and Senate, and we own the governorship, and yet all in front of our eyes, this is happening. It's insane. Fear the Turtle is lib. He's a lib out in Stanton. I don't get it. That's in Augusta County. Fear the Turtle is he's a lib, Tom. Sad. Very scared of the coronavirus. I just had a friend of mine come over, gave me a Tom Brady shirt, actually, who suffered heavily from the coronavirus just a couple weeks ago. And he's good now. No mask. Oh, we're all gonna die. And he gave me a Tom Brady jersey that he got. Anyway, so what you do is you plug in the district. You say, okay, we're going to pit 2 Democrats against each other. That way we'll split off enough Republicans, and that's how you do it. Texas is going to gain 3 seats. You do the same thing, man. You say, okay, we'll pit 2 Democrats against each other. We'll take another one. We'll take 30% of the Republicans off of that 1 district. We'll make a 70-30 Democratic district where it used to be maybe 55-45. We'll take 15% of Republicans, put them over here. We'll get another Republican district, and the Democrats will lose 1. It's a wonderful strategy. I mean, stupid. Yeah, and I also heard too that I read someplace say they registered 75,000 voters after the election before this one. I was under the impression they could not do that. I was under the impression that if they did not vote in November, they couldn't vote now. So what the hell? I mean, but see, this is the whole thing too with the whole constitutional stuff. If you don't have anyone to enforce the law, it doesn't matter. You see, I mean, that's the thing. We have no one to enforce the laws. That's the drawback. It's like look, you can burn, loot, and steal if there's no one there to freaking police you up to say you can't do it anymore. It's only against the law if someone's there to enforce it. Doesn't make sense, but they don't enforce the law, and that's the sad thing is it's a Republican not enforcing the law. I don't understand. I mean, it's the weirdest thing, man. And then not only that, but they record the thing on Trump and they leaked it. The whole thing is just that phone. I'm hearing people on the phone say Trump tried to bribe him. I say liberals just don't think, my friends. I think we got to recognize that liberals are very emotionally driven. They're not logical. They're just not. They're emotionally driven. I've had probably 5 people comment Trump should be going to jail for treason for trying to bribe Puffenbarger. And like you guys you're not thinkers. That's the that's the thing. They're not thinkers, the libs. It's sad because you're thinking, Christopher Wray still in the FBI. Just remember, wish you guys could smell that old newspaper from 30 years ago. Why do I keep that? To always remember how I felt when Clinton won. Now, I will check this out. This is the op-ed page. Right here. From Evans and Novak. Now, Robert Novak was a pretty good conservative, Beltway-ish, but GOP heir apparent. You know who they thought it was going to be? Jack Kemp. Yeah, AJ, the Dems going to win, man. I mean, come on. Jack Kemp. As of now, only Jack Kemp is given a chance by fellow Republicans to pull the party together. So, I mean, that's the thing, man. Look, and Jack Kemp was from Buffalo. He represented, I mean, I know he played football for the Bills. I think he was out of Buffalo, his district. He was no. And you fast forward to 1994, Jack Kemp was, I mean, he's fine. He was okay, but that was no big deal. Look, man, I'm not all that worried. He'll be stifled. They're not going to pass any big. They're not going to pass any big legislation. The drawback, frankly, isn't the Senate. The drawback is always the administrative state. It always is. We've allowed too much authority to the Congress, both houses, the House and the Senate, have ceded too much of their authority to the executive office because they don't want to be held accountable. I mean, Republicans and Democrats, they don't want to be held accountable. And so they say, hey, let's go ahead and have a blue ribbon commission. That's the thing. They never want to say, they always want to say, let's have a blue ribbon commission, but they never want to say, let's take a charge and make sure this doesn't happen again. It just is frustrating. So what happens is the agencies have all the power, 100% right, Dan. And so if it was, Steely Joe in there, he's going to have control of the agencies, and they have the power, man. So the 50-50 Senate with a freaking the 5-seat majority, voting majority in the House, that's not enough to get big legislation passed. It's just not. They're not going to. I was talking to a lady from Maine today. They're not going to increase taxes. I'm just telling you right now. Yeah, executive orders, 100%, 100%. Because it's hard to beat an incumbent. That's why when Trump did it, Rick Scott in 2018 took out freaking Ben Nelson, an astronaut who is an incumbent from Florida in an off-year election. It's nuts. Hawley took out McCaskill, who is Teflon Claire. She won a couple times, and races she should never have won. Crazy. Who else? Then we had what's her name up in North Dakota, Heidi, whatever her stupid name was, she got beat. And then we won something else too. I forgot. And then we lost in Alabama. But yeah, but it comes down to Supreme Court as long as they abide by what the Supreme Court says. I just go back to this. It's like Stalin telling the Pope, how many divisions does the Pope have? You see what I'm saying? So anyway, there's not going to be any major legislation. It's just not going to happen, man. It's not going to happen. I mean, there'll be stuff passed, but can we just acknowledge, we just gave away, $1 trillion to foreign entities while the Republicans controlled the Senate and Trump was president? So I see free stuff, and what do you think just happened, man? I don't know. I just I mean, what happened? And when it comes to spending, it wasn't like free stuff wasn't happening before. In fact, I want to share with you something. I thought this article was kind of funny. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can't. Why not 200,000 relief checks? If the federal government can stimulate the economy by making direct payments to citizens, there'd be no reason to limit those to $600 or $2,000. It's always Christmas in Washington. The particular holiday season, politicians race to the bottom of the fiscally incoherent barrel. What started at $600 became $2,000. In the end, 600 payments prevailed, but the president-elect Biden has said are merely a down payment. The answer is rather simple. If the federal government can stimulate the economy by making direct payments to citizens, there'd be no reason to limit those payments to $600 or $2,000. Similar to lack of logic in limiting the minimum wage to $15. The absence of rationality tends to not prevent Washington from fiscal malfeasance. After all, if there exists a multiplier greater than 1 by which government spending could increase GDP, then it'd be insane not to increase government spending. They've certainly tried their best to make this fake stimulus work. What does that attempt even look like? It's a vicious cycle. The federal government makes direct payments totaling, say, $500 billion. Where does the money come from? The Treasury issues bonds to raise the $500 billion from the markets. With $28 trillion in debt, how come rates aren't rising? The Federal Reserve purchases bonds from the market to keep supply down. Where does the Federal Reserve get the money? It prints it. Where's the inflation? Take a look at the financial markets. Then where's the stimulus? That's just it. There's no stimulus. Tragically, many in Washington believe that there is, and that's the vicious cycle. Perhaps more nefariously, many in Washington do not care about the vicious cycle or if there's any actual stimulus. The direct payments are simply a transfer of wealth from some group of people who will eventually pay that debt back in taxes to whatever chosen group that the government decides to be the recipient. Of course, the irony is that much of the wealth transfers from future generations to the holders of the financial assets are inflated. Along the way, the direct payment recipients receive a temporary high. Making matters worse, people are suffering, and there are numerous ways in which the government can actually help. First and foremost is to allow the economy to grow now. That would address the bulk of government-induced slowdown. It is bad enough that haphazard government policy causes massive economic damage. Even worse is that the government exasperates the problem with an incorrect policy measure that lathers on more spending and debt. While an attempt could be made to calculate an actual amount of economic loss from pre-pandemic times, it's nearly impossible to price the myriad unseen costs of educational, drug abuse, loss, and depression. A $2,000 check will compensate for that. In general, there's a way for government to actually implement fiscal stimulus, cut taxes. Well, look, man, at the end of the day, I don't want any of that crap. I just want, frankly, simple. I want the government to get the hell out of your life. Get the hell out of here, man. Let us be. Let people live. If people are scared, let them stay home. That's all there is to it, man. Yeah, I kind of agree. Uzi Kalashnikov. He says, pair that with a Biden presidency and the existing changes put in place. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think this is going to be at the end of it. I think. I actually think it's not going to be that big of a deal. I just don't. I mean, again, it's all through the executive branch, and the executive branch was already seated because of idiots like Puffenbarger. They just solidified it here. Now, hopefully the thing will make the Republicans realize your seat's next, baby. If you're not freaking watching this clean and fair election, you're next. That's what I'm hoping here. All right, anyone? Yeah, no, absolutely. These politicians are best friends behind the scenes. They're truly in bed with each other while we are the ones getting ripped off. I completely agree with you. I've come to that conclusion myself. Again, for some, I mean, sure, other people here. What happened here? Just want to point out before you guys go crazy. Clinton elected 42nd president, sweeping victory over Bush. Did you guys get out of the market? The 90s just happened to be the biggest growth market ever. Was it because of Clinton? Well, I would argue it's from 1994, the Republican takeover. The 90s were huge. If you got out because of, freaking that guy, you made a huge mistake. I hate to say it, but if you got out because of freaking Obama, you made a huge mistake. You just did. I'm not saying don't get out. You got to do whatever you got to do. But the idea that Biden's going to have some massive legislation agenda, it just doesn't, man. He's a caretaker. We all know that. We're not getting Medicaid for all, man. Open the country up. Yep, exactly. We were not the same. I guess we get Medicaid for all. My wife can retire early with me. Yeah, Kemp's done. No other way around that, which is too bad. Yeah, Kemp's done. That's all there is to it. I look, and if Jill's still on here, she hates when I say this, but look, Trump sometimes was his own worst enemy. Trump had a huge supporter in camp. Huge. Biden's not coming after guns. It's just not happening. Trump had a huge supporter in Kemp, and then Trump sold him down the river by Kemp not shutting, because Kemp said, I'm not going to shut down the economy. And yeah, that's right. Medicaid is rationed. Exactly right. That's why no doctors want it, because they can't. Biden's not coming after guns. He's not raising capital gains tax. He doesn't have the numbers. It just doesn't. I mean, he's a caretaker. Jeremy, just because he says it, hell, man, doesn't make it so. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. I'm more worried about the global reset where receding, the Paris Accords and all that stuff bothered me more. To get major legislation passed, there is nobody. He's got a 5-seat majority, voting majority in the House. And basically, it's a tie in the Senate with Kamala. She'll cast a vote, but it's just all it takes is one. And look, now we are discounting the fact that some Republicans will go along with her. But remember, no Republicans, none passed Obama's increases in 2000. They didn't pass Clinton tax hikes. Not one Republican voted for Clinton tax hikes in 93. Not one Republican voted for Obama stuff in 2009. I mean, and the Republicans are even weaker than they are now. It's just Republicans aren't going to sit there and say, yeah, okay, fair and square. They're just not. They're not that stupid. They're stupid. Yeah, he'll go back to the Paris Climate Accords. It doesn't matter. It's all fake, man. I mean, that's the thing. It's all fake. I'm not that worried about it. He's not going to ban fossil fuels. He's going to talk a big. Look, Biden and Kamala are lying sacks of excrement. Did you hear her now saying freedom when she's a child? I mean, they're literally brainless. Now it's not them. I get it. They're just puppets. I get all that. But at the end of the day, these guys are just not impressive politicians. They're just not. Yeah, don't put too much faith in Joe Manchin, my friend. I tell you. Yeah, the market's going to survive just fine, man. Yeah, it was funny when I voted today. We saw the Dominion on there. I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Look, Puffenbarger gave up Dominion for $100 million of Georgia taxpayer money. There's no way he was going to be held accountable for screwing that up. His legacy was at stake, he thought. So he fought full throttle to make sure that he couldn't be found accountable. I mean, think about it. Freaking Puffenbarger signed on to this stuff. He's not going to turn around and say, man, I screwed up royally. I mean, he had every incentive to say there's nothing wrong. Every incentive. The whole thing's corrupt. But that's where Kemp, that's why I don't get Kemp. But frankly, I don't get Perdue and Loeffler too. Why were they not on there? I mean, their votes are at stake. Their seats are at stake. Why were they not the ones saying, we can't let this happen again? No, I think it's Pitbull Tommy. I think it's over, man. I think Abrams dominated Puffenbarger so much. But at the end of the day, he's not come on. He's not coming after guns. He's not going to raise taxes. I mean, he might raise taxes on people making $400,000. That's stupid. It might change a little bit of Social Security. Generally speaking, but the thing is, my friends, they don't have a majority of any size. They don't. They're not going to pass major legislation. If Obama couldn't get freaking illegal immigration passed and he could just barely get Obamacare passed, Biden isn't getting anything major. It's just not. You guys, that's why I keep showing you this. This is in 1992. This is before we had alternative media. We only had the Washington Post. We did have the Washington Times back then, but that was in 1992. We didn't have the internet. We had, Rush Limbaugh. That was basically it. Even we had a guy in D.C. named Mark Davis, who I think now is in Dallas. And that guy was a clown. I'll never forget when we called the Pat Buchanan Brigades, of which I was one, the Nazi youth. I'll never forget him for that. I said, dude, I like Buchanan. Nazi youth. I said, what the hell? I just got out of the army. You call me a freaking Nazi scumbag? And Mark Davis now claims to be some far right-winger guy. I said, screw that, man. You didn't have the instincts back then. And so I think I voted for Perot in 92. I'd voted for Harry Brown in 96. And Bush. Again, I thought the country was at stake if Bush lost in 2004. And wow. I think right now DeSantis is my guy. I'm not a fan of Pence. Pence okay. He just nah. I think DeSantis is my guy. I want a Trumpster for sure. I mean, look, if DeSantis can carry Florida like he's done, that's big right there, man. Because Florida's a swing state, and DeSantis won that relatively decisively compared to what the polls are showing. Exactly. That's 100%, Eric. If Perdue and Loeffler lose, they didn't fight and call for a special session. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't. That's my frustration. No, I like Pence. Don't get me wrong. I don't want Trump Jr. I don't want any of that crazy that stuff. I love DeSantis. I love the fact he doesn't back down at all. But he turned Florida red. That guy did. When the chips are down, he did not back down. When he was fighting Andrew Gillum, he stood up and he got more black vote. He got more Spanish speaking vote. And I mean, just because of DeSantis, Florida is favored to be in the red now. Probably more so than Georgia in 2024. That's for sure, which is odd. We got our governor coming up in 2022. Yeah. So it'll be interesting. Yeah, yeah, they still have DeKalb County and Fulton. It's over, man. It's no other way around that. Tim Scott doesn't do much for me. I just nah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because we need someone to treat the media, like Trump did. Maybe enemy of the people. Hey, Rebecca. I just want to share with you this from 1992, my paper. Clinton elected 42nd president in sweeping victory over Bush. We just read it. Suburban voters move left, join D.C. in a progressive agenda, activist agenda. Women gained 4 more Senate seats. Carol Mosley Braun, Barbara Boxer, and Dianne Feinstein, and Patty Murray. Mom in tennis shoes, all won. Look, man, it's not the end. The world isn't over. World went over, man. Yeah, I like DeSantis much more than Greg Abbott too. Anyone who did a mask mandate can kiss my butt. I'm sorry. Kiss my butt. Kiss my butt. If you did a mask mandate, kiss my butt. Because we are grown-ups, for heaven's sake. Yes. Yep. Abbott has been, I love Greg Abbott, but this COVID thing, I think the COVID thing is what separated the the wheat from the chaff, whatever it's called. I agree, John. John said nothing to worry about if you got Jesus, 100%. Internet was become a thing. Bush or Clinton, market would have went crazy. Yeah, well, I mean, I get that, but the market went crazy under Obama. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it did. Rightly or wrongly, the facts are Clinton and Obama oversaw a huge market run-up. So that same thing happened with Steely Joe. I have no idea. Someone has said something here. I think Trump could win the nomination for sure, but he's going to be 78 years old. I think. Yeah, we just enough of these old guys. Nothing wrong. Look, if you're an old guy, don't take this wrong, but my goodness, let's get some younger folks in there for heaven's sake. We had Elizabeth. Elizabeth Warren. See, the problem. This is where the thing, you guys, my friends. The issue is that the Republicans are going to, even if they win, they're still going to support Steely Joe's House or cabinet, and those are the people that have the freaking administrative authority. I'm telling you, dear colleague letter, the title, I don't think it was Title IX, is the stuff that basically made men essentially have to be chopped off by the guillotine if any chick said that they were being harassed. That was a dear colleague letter from the Department of Education. There's stuff like that all over the place. Just some administrative. Look at Lois Lerner and the IRS. It's nuts. It's not the Senate. The only thing the Senate can do is stop the judges and stop the insane people from being nominated and then approved for the Democrats for Biden's administration. But other than that, there's not going to be anything legislative of any importance. It's just not, man. It's the administrative thing. That's already here. It's already here. And that's the sad thing. The Paris Accords. I'm telling you, the dear colleague letter, everyone doesn't know what that is. That is the beginning of the end for the universities. It really was. On top of that transgender stuff, that all came from the DOE, the Department of Education, where they said, you have to, there's no law that said we need, the whole thing's nuts. It's the same thing with the freaking lockdowns. There's never been a law passed to lock people down, certainly not to arrest people. Yeah, it's insane. So you can say all day long the Supreme Court's good because it's right wing. All right, well, what if they rule against the lockdown? Who's going to enforce it? Literally, if crazy Ted Wheeler says we're going to let Antifa run rampant, I know he's saying otherwise now, but just say he said that, who's going to enforce it? That's what I'm talking about, man. Yeah, you got to stop relying on Manchin, I'm telling you. Read my man Don Serber's You think so, Eric? I don't think I say anything inappropriate here in terms of YouTube. Eric thinks it's going to land me in the YouTube jail. I don't think so. I'll probably take it down when we're done. What was I going to say? I don't like Ivanka. Not a fan of Ivanka at all. You don't need to expose the bias in the media. They're already doing it. They're already doing it, man. Yeah, the media exposes themselves. Yeah, stop putting your faith in Manchin. The guy's a clown, man. I'm telling you, read Don Serber. Don Serber's blog. He's from West Virginia. He was a reporter for many, many moons in West Virginia. And he sees these guys and he knows that freaking what's his name, Manchin. He's just look. You can't rely on that guy. I know everyone thinks he's a conservative Democrat. He's just not. Just trust me, he ain't. Massachusetts going backwards, even tighter restrictions. Well, thank goodness for that, because the previous restrictions weren't tight enough. All right. No, I don't want Donald. I don't want any juniors. Nope. Can't have juniors. I got to have new blood. I'm telling you, man. All right. So I'm just going to get out of here and get another cup of tea. Do we have any results yet by chance or what? What are we looking at? I know. How many people think? How many the people think that the media, whatever CNN says, is correct? I mean, it's like these guys with this Trump. He was bribing Puffenbarger. Blah blah blah. It's like, I mean, it's amazing to me how just insanely emotional the left is. They hear these and they fall for it. That's what's crazy. It's like the time. It was like the 60 Minutes interview when they the Virginia gun. There's a gun group in Virginia, and they slice and dice the interview. What's her name? Stupid, the cute chick, Katie Couric. You know what I'm saying? They slice and dice the interview to make these people say what they literally did not say. But if you just listen to the interview, you're like, oh. And they sued him. This Virginia Defense League, VDL or something like that. I can't remember what it was. And ever since then, if you're a Republican and you're being interviewed by the media, you damn well better freaking record it, because they slice and dice stuff, and they literally say, who was I watching the other day? Like where they made something up about some guy. He said, I forgot what it was, but I think it was Mr. Burns with what's his name? Waylon Smithers. He said, Waylon Smithers, he sliced it up. I loved you, or something like that. It was funny as hell. When The Simpsons was funny, which hasn't been in many years. But anyway, they slice and dice it. And the same thing with this thing with Trump bribing Puffenbarger. I'm sitting there thinking, how just emotionally insecure do you have to be to think that is true? It's weird to me. I'm sitting there thinking, look, I get it. I'm on the right. I can easily fall for the right wing stuff too. And I try not to, like the whole thing with the AMA rescinding their thing on HCQ. They did not, man. This drives me crazy. All these people on the right wing were saying the AMA is now saying hydrochloroquine is fine. They did not. That's put up to, look, I don't like the AMA as far as I could kick them, but the truth was they did not rescind their denial of or whatever was on hydrochloroquine. They did not. It came up for a petition or whatever it was, a resolution that was defeated. But many people on the right were saying the AMA now steps back against HCQ. Oh, that wasn't true. Because misinformation is bad, being on your side or the other side. But the left falls to the misinformation. It's like it feeds something that they need. They need something to validate their reason for a living. What else could it possibly be? And so they think Trump is evil. If someone slices and dices something that says Trump is evil, they're like, yes, that validates everything I was thinking about. So, no, I want release the hounds. Virginia Civil Defense League, VCDL. That's right. Yep. Let's trade California. Oh man, Connie's getting divorced. Probably not a bad thing. Let's trade California for Alberta, Canada. That's what I'd like to do. I'll take Alberta and I'll give them California any day. Well, I thought Fox already called the Senate race. I thought they called it this morning. Oh man. Yeah, they need a reason to hate. Yep. All right, my friends. So if you go to bed tonight depressed, just remember Clinton elected 42nd president in sweeping victory over Bush. They had huge majorities in the Senate, huge majorities in the House, and they pretty much didn't do all that much. They raised tax on Social Security. They raised the income tax. They didn't do that much. They did. Hillary did. Now, this wasn't through legislation, though. She was able to make the student loans mandated. The federal government took that over. That was one of Hillary's pet things, and she did, and that's why the college education is that much more expensive. Fox News can kiss my butt too. What else? And then in 2008 was bad, but Obama had bigger majorities than Clinton had, and Obama was a black guy, and no one wanted to go against a black guy. And so Obama, he had huge majorities, and the only other than executive stuff, the only legislative thing they got was Obamacare, which is horrible. Don't get me wrong, horrible. I mean, it's just absolutely atrocious. But they really didn't get much more done than that. They didn't. So I mean, so they had 60-40 in the Senate for Obama. I don't know, 270 in the House, something like that. Huge, huge. So not much got done. I mean, just the thing, legislatively, it's the administrative. I'm just saying this, and Steely Joe is already going to be in there. So anyway, all right, I'm going to get off out of here, and I'm going to go get another cup of hot tea and go to bed after I take my dogs out because the dogs are back. Love you guys. Thanks for being here. Hang tight. It's going to be okay. I'm just telling you right now. Just remember, 92, 2008, and it's a hell of a lot worse than it is now. It is. And we got a whole new Republican Party with a different spine. Just real quick. The GOP, I'm telling you, man, if we read this article about what Kemp needed to do, let me just real quick. So the heir apparent to the GOP was going to be Jack Kemp. All right. That's what these guys saying, Robert Novak and Roland Evans. He's a future of our party, says someone named Tracy Ellsworth, a young South Bend banker. Hold on a second. Someone says she would never vote for Bush, but she would seriously consider voting for Kemp. Oh, well. Hold on a sec. Hold on a sec. I want to read Republican critic growing the all right. Kemp avoided personal assaults on Clinton and Al Gore. He didn't call him bozo or crazy. Instead, he repeated the charge that Democrats mean high taxes. Wow. While Clinton promised to soak the rich, he's going to have to soak somebody else, and it usually be the middle class. Wow. All right. Right. Anyway, the point was Kemp had look, man, just the Kemp, same thing. It's like they're going to soak the middle class with taxes. That worked when the middle class was paying high taxes. It worked. Those days are gone, man. I'm just telling you, you got to get a different strategy. And that's what freaking Loeffler. So Loeffler is in Purdue's strategy where they're going to raise taxes and they're socialists. How about the fact the election is challenged? How about the fact that you did nothing to secure the vote? And now we have these things that say, I voted. It says, I secured our vote in Fulton County because they know what freaking making bank like me, dude. They know what, God, stop with the raising taxes thing. I'm telling you, that doesn't get people to vote for you anymore. It did in the 70s and 80s because the taxes were high, man. Yeah, look, don't get too stoked. Fulton County is the biggest county there is. It's coming in late. They know how many votes they need. Yeah, they got the ballot stacked and ready. Exactly. The minute they say Georgia is 13,000 for Purdue and Loeffler, the Fulton County is going to have 14,000. And no one's going to do anything about it. That's the funny thing, man. Come on. Dogs are doing good, man. Dogs are doing good. Love them. Love having them back. But anyway, what I'm saying is they said in 2008 that we need they need what they say in 2008 that we needed we need to embrace illegal immigration. That's what they said. They said in 1992, we need to go for socialized medicine. That's what they said. And no, because they said we need to reach out to the people who hate us. It's crazy. And a lot of Republicans fell for that crap. The issue is I don't think Republicans are ready to do that. I think Republicans are pissed. I know I am. Release the hounds, exactly. I know I am. I'm pissed. I want a Republican's going to freaking fight back, which is why I love the Trumpsters. Yeah, DeKalb is like 85-15 is what I heard today. Is DeKalb not released yet? Look, if DeKalb hasn't released yet and Fulton hasn't released, it's over, man. I'm just telling you right now. But I want freaking I don't want, we need a Republican that will not offend the middle. We don't need another It released a robotic Richard Simpsons. We don't need another freaking, a Karl Rove. No, that's not a party. That doesn't build a movement. Give me Ron Paul, man. Someone to build a movement, man. We need a freaking guy or a lady who's sitting there and say, this is beyond just me. This is a movement like the Trumpster did. We don't need someone to say, oh, I'm going to advocate for opportunity zones and make that in school vouchers. That's fine, but that's not what that's not, you got to reach emotions. You got to reach emotions. Voting manipulation is one. People coming over that don't have a right to be here is another. You see what I'm saying? These are emotional issues that get people to vote. Republicans say we're going to lower the capital gains tax and we're going to have free trade and opportunity zones. I'm like, dude, look, that's great policy, but no one cares. No one votes on that. All right, my friends, I can get out of here. So anyway, I predict that, hey, wife is in D.C. for Trump rally. That's freaking awesome, man. Remember, I think that's my man from Missouri saying that. Missouri was blue. Missouri, that's where Richard Gephardt was from. Missouri is deep red now. Florida was blue. Florida's pretty red now. Anyway, just keep the faith, man. This ain't nearly as bad as what it was in 92 and 2000. All right, I'm out of here. We'll see you guys. Blessings to you all.